Now we are going to see what is type in Kotlin programming. So for that, let me create package, and the package name is type. In this type, I'm gonna create a file, and the file name is again type. We have here main function, and in this main function I'm gonna create a variable, and the variable name is hello, and in this I'm gonna create a string and store this string information into my variables. Now this is a type of string. So in order to create a string, we use here double quotes, and in this double quote you can use numbers, you can use character, it's totally up to you. Eventually all of the things that you have mentioned in this double quote will be represented in a form of a string. Let's say I'm using here 1 2 3 4 5 6, it doesn't matter, eventually it will become in any string. Now you can also explicitly mention the variable type. So now hello is only available to store string type in it. So this is what string type is. Next I'm going to show you few number things that you can use to store number into a variable. So I'm using here val int type. So this is my variable name, and I want to store integer type. So integer type is actually used to store numbers that is not in fraction. So you can use here 1, you can use here -1, you can use here 0, but you cannot use here 4.5 because it is an integer type, and integer type is only available to store non-fraction values, and it uses 32-bit. Next we have float type. So this is also used to store numbers, but it is also used to store decimal numbers. So you can store 1f. So if you want to use float type, on that case at the end, or you can say suffix of your number will eventually become f. So we have here 1f, that means it represents value 1. Type of this thing is float, and it uses 32-bit. So you can use this float for 32-bit operation. We have here decimals too, so you can go up to 6 decimal places. For float, you are only able to use 6 decimal places. Next we have here one more type, which is double type, and this is also used to store numbers, but the main difference between float and double is in double you can go up to 12 decimal places. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, and this eventually use 64-bit. So if you want to perform a big calculation, on that case you should use here double. So mostly in our Kotlin programming, when we are dealing with math calculation, then we should use double, and when we want to show this information to our user, on that case we use float because it has only 32-bit, and also we are only able to see 6 decimal places. So due to that reason, mostly in UI we use float, and in math calculation or any other calculation we prefer double. Next we have long type, and by using this long type, actually it uses 64-bit. With integer you are not able to use 64-bit. Let's say you have a big numbers that you want to represent, for example timestamp. Now timestamp has a very big value, so to represent timestamp or something like that we use long type. So, and at the end you should use here L to represent that this is a type of long, and this is used to calculate huge tasks. Like with integer you are not able to calculate something big because we are only using 32-bit, but with long we are using 64-bit, and yes, we can represent a very long number with the help of long. And due to that reason, in order to represent timestamp, because timestamp is a very big number, on that scenario we'll use long. So we have these type of types that is actually used to represent number. Next we have boolean type. Type of this variable is boolean, and you can store in boolean with two types of values, either true or false. So basically it has only two P and C. Either you are using true or you are using false. Next we have here character type, and type of this variable is character. And in order to represent character we use single quotes, and in this single quote you can use any character like h1 2 j, it's up to you. So if you are using single quotes and using only one value, which is j in my case, and if you want to use any big string, on that case you should use string. So character is actually used to represent a single character, and in order to represent character we use single quotes. Now let's see how we can use these integer values within this string. Now I want to use these values within this string. Let's see how we can use it. So for that I'm going to create one more variable, and the variable name is created string. Use here double quotes, and in this double quotes I'm going to use hello. So because I want to use this integer type value in here, so to that we use here dollar sign and pair of parentheses, and in this parenthesis we should use our integer type, and at the end I'm using word, and lastly I'm gonna use println function to print this value created string. Now when you execute it, as you can see, hello forward. So 4 eventually represent the int type value. Now what will happen if I remove this thing and re-execute my function? On that case you can see hello int type. That means this time this integer type value is not used in here. It simply considered this thing and in a form of a string. So if you want to use some values within your string, then you should use here dollar sign, and when you re-execute it you will receive the value hello forward. One more thing, we have type safety in here. So let's say I'm going to create a variable, and the variable name is string type. Type of this thing is string, and I want to store here integer type, let's say 4. So it is not possible. As you can see we have a warning in here, and the warning is the integer literal does not conform to expected type string. Long story short, you cannot use any other type with string type because it has certain type which is string. So you can only able to store string values within your string type, and due to that reason we are having type safety in Kotlin programming. You cannot assign a value to a different type. You can use this thing within double quotes. Now it is assignable because now this 4 is not integer, it is a string type, and this is why it is possible to assign this value to our string type. Alright, so that's it for this particular video.